the visiting delegates.
We're here at the Ocean Terrace
ZIZ Evening Newscast, weekdays at 7 p.m.
In the top stories, police investigating double homicide in McKnight. Honorable Jonell Powell expresses sympathies over the death of 2 young men, and Development Bank upgrading tech in fight against COVID-19. The details on these stories and more after the break.
In your formative years, we were there. When you got the good news and the bad, we were right there with you. Through all your great adventures, we were always right by your side. Now that life has thrown us a curveball, we are still here. And as we navigate this difficult period, the SKCCU will continue to be there for you and your family to help you through. We will assist you in safely and efficiently accessing your funds through our digital platforms, online banking, mobile banking, ATMs, and even our drive-through services. We can get through this together with responsible financial decisions by making food and medication a priority, practicing proper hygiene, maintaining social distancing, and constant prayer.
We're here for you.
We're still here.
We will get through this together.
SKCCU will continue to be your financial partner for life.
Without limits, happy and free. The skin you're in with no apology. The one to seize the day. Grab an LLB. Live, love, be. With LLB. Live, love, be. Live, love, be. Be who you know you can be. Grab an LLB. Live, love, be. Angostura, lemon, lime, and bitters. Live, love, be.
Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Channel 5 newscast. I'm Cal Berridge. The police are investigating a shooting incident in McKnight which left 2 men dead. According to police reports, sometime after 6 p.m. on Monday, the police received a report of a shooting incident in which 2 persons were wounded. Several units responded. Upon arrival, the motionless body of 20-year-old Lamont Heiliger of McKnight was met laying on the ground with what appeared to be multiple gunshot wounds. A second individual, 19-year-old Jaquan Merritt of Fort Thomas Road, sustained a gunshot wound to the head and was transported to the JNF General Hospital via the Emergency Medical Service ambulance. Preliminary investigations so far have revealed that Heiliger, Merritt, and other persons were in a shed when an individual shot both men. The district medical officer arrived at the scene and pronounced Heiliger dead. Merritt succumbed to his injuries that same night. Personnel from the Forensic Services Unit processed the scene and collected items of evidential value. Investigations into the matter are ongoing. Persons with information regarding this matter are urged to contact the Violent Crimes Unit by dialing 467-1887, 467-1888, 662-3468, the nearest police station, or crime hotline 707, where information can be given anonymously. Parliamentary Representative for Constituency Number 2, Honorable Jonell Powell, has expressed deep sadness about the death of Lamont Heiliger and Jaquan Merritt, who were shot and killed on Monday night. In a post on his Facebook page, Minister Powell said the young men were, quote, struck down in the prime of their lives. Condemning the killing, Minister Powell said, quote, every single act of violence is one too many. We cannot afford for our MACNITE, for our federation, to be robbed of young people with so much potential. He expressed his condolences to the victims' mothers and the constituents that have been torn apart by this senseless violence. He said, quote, no parent should be left grieving their child. This loss of young lives is a loss not only for the MACNITE community, but a loss for the entire federation. We cannot and will not go back to a community where people feel fearful for their lives and their loved ones. The Development Bank of St. Kitts and Nevis has stepped up its COVID-19 fight using the lake test technology. Thermal imaging cameras have been installed at the bank's head office at the corner of Church and Central Streets in Bastyr, and at the branch office on Chapel Street in Charlestown. The cameras allow for clients' temperature to be taken without any contact, as they are mounted on the wall 8 feet above the ground. Security guards and frontline staff members at both offices have been trained on how to use a tablet to retrieve the information from the cameras if need be. According to Michael Peace of Digital Security Services Limited, that information is important when it comes to contact tracing should any client show signs of the disease, and can also be shared with the Ministry of Health. Human Resource Manager at the Development Bank of St. Kitts and Nevis, Danielle Bryn, has said that the guidelines on how the thermal cameras will be used have been circulated, and all clients are fully aware that when they enter the establishment, they will have their temperatures taken using the new cameras. Both Ms. Bryn and the manager at the Nevis branch office, Ms. Hyacinth Pemberton, note that they are pleased with the way the cameras have been operating, stating that the only time red flags would have been raised would have been due to a client's elevated temperature as a result of being out in the hot sun for a lengthy period, as a second reading would be normal. And in other national news, the flag of St. Kitts and Nevis is flying over Wall Street this week in honor of the birth of founding father Alexander Hamilton. Hamilton was born in Nevis on January 11, 1757, and was credited with founding the U.S. Treasury Department and strengthening the banking system. He died from a gunshot on July 12, 1804. The St. Kitts Nevis flag is flown for 1 week every year in honor of his memory. After the break, Commissioner Brandy presents crime stats and Gender Affairs Department to appear on Working for You. Stay with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, National Bank presents Showtime! Only in December, National Bank is offering a loan 2 times your annual salary, up to $75,000 unsecured. You heard right, 2 times your annual salary, up to $75,000 unsecured. There's even an option to pay interest only until November 2021. Call your closest branch to make an appointment. Remember, it's Showtime at National. Terms and conditions apply. National Bank, always here.
Here is how I pay my Flow bills using the MyFlow app in just 3 easy steps. First, I downloaded the free app from the App Store. Then, I opened the app and logged in with my Flow ID. I activated my Flow ID earlier for free at flowid.co. I clicked on the account number and watched the magic begin. All my bills and the info right there at my fingertips. Just confirm the payment amount, then card details, and that's it. No trips to town, no long lines, and no hassle. Flow is keeping me connected.
Welcome back. Commissioner of Police Hilroy Brandy has presented crime statistics to Cabinet that show that the Federation closed 2020 with 10 homicides. According to the breakdown, which showed numbers over the past 18 years, this is the lowest number of recorded homicides in a year since 2003. In his presentation, Mr. Brandy also noted that crime detection was up by 47%, which led to more cases being solved. The statistics show that in 2020, 10 homicides were recorded as compared to 14 in 2019 and 23 in 2018 and 2017. The highest number recorded was 34 in 2011. Officials from the Department of Gender Affairs will be featured on Wednesday's edition of Working for You. The special guest will be Celia Christopher, Director in the Department of Gender Affairs, and Executive Officer Sharon Warner. The panel will discuss St. Kitts and Nevis National Gender Equality Policy and Action Plan Phase 2. What is a gender policy, the purpose of a gender policy, and the importance of a gender policy will all be tackled among other issues with respect to gender. Working for You is carried live every Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. on ZIZ Radio and other participating radio stations. The program is also streamed live on the SKNIS Facebook page. Travelers from St. Kitts and Nevis and certain other Caribbean countries will have to undergo mandatory pre-departure COVID-19 tests before traveling to England. That's according to a release from the British High Commission in Bridgetown, Barbados on Tuesday. According to the release, the requirement goes into effect on the 15th of January. The statement says mandatory pre-departure testing for all international arrivals to England will come into effect worldwide from 15th January 2021, including for passengers departing from Dominica, Grenada, St. Kitts and Nevis, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The statement said inbound passengers to England will need to show proof of a negative COVID-19 test result taken no more than 3 days before departure. Passengers who arrive at the border without proof of a negative result will be subject to an immediate £500 fine. According to the release, this requirement is an added measure to safeguard public health against coronavirus and its variants. Visitors are strongly encouraged to use this time to review and clarify their plans for return to England, including considering options to revise flight departures and, if necessary, put in place suitable arrangements for qualifying pre-departure tests. Passengers will need to find a testing provider, which means the standards set out by the UK government, the majority of which will be PCR tests. Full details of requirements can be found at www.gov.uk. And finally, on the local scene, Amri Bakery has been awarded winner of the corporate segment of the Celebrate SKN Christmas Decoration Competition. At a ceremony at the bakery on Victoria Road on Tuesday, Director of Culture Troy Mills, supported by members of Celebrate SKN, presented the trophy to Operations Manager at Amri Enterprises, Zovia Knight. Mr. Mills said the Department of Culture was pleased to be the sponsor of the winning trophy.
Last year, when Celebrate SKN approached the Department of Culture to sponsor a trophy for a competition that we're having, we were very much elated to have been afforded that opportunity. And this afternoon, as Director of Culture, it gives me great pleasure to award the first place trophy to the winner in the corporate sector.
Owner and chairman of Amri Enterprises, Ernest Amri, thanked the entities involved in selecting the bakery for the award.
We were unaware that we were being judged for this competition. We love make the place beautiful, and so we just continue to do it as we would at any time of the year. So I want to take this opportunity to thank you and the Minister, Jonah Powell, for giving us this trophy.
The Celebrate SKN Christmas Decorating Contest was listed as an activity on the Sugar Mass 49 calendar of events. The event also saw 5 persons being awarded for the best house or yard segment of the competition. Coming up in regional news, $327 million farm to market road to be constructed. The details when we come back.
My advice to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, we need to continue wearing our masks. Wear your mask, wear your mask.
Wear your mask.
Adapt and follow the protocol.
We need to do the protocols by washing our hands.
Change your clothes when you go out and come back.
wear your mask and wash your hands.
But you have to protect yourself when you go out and protect other people.
Distance yourself is going to protect you and everyone else around you.
And we need to learn to listen. Sometimes we as Kitishans, we do not really listen. Social distance is hard, but if you have to do it, please, please do it.
This is the country of our birth, country that we love. Let us take care of it.
Because if you don't protect yourself and your family, you could damage them and other people as well. So we just need to protect ourselves.
And we're moving now to news on the regional scene. In Guyana, hundreds of farmers from West Coast Berbice are expected to benefit tremendously from the construction of a $327 million Guyanese 5-kilometer asphaltic farm-to-market road. Kendall Richmond has the details.
A 9-minute video being circulated on Minister of Agriculture Zulfikar Mustafa and the senior minister within the Office of the President with responsibility for finance, Ashni Singh, on Saturday turned the sod for the construction of a 5-kilometer farm-to-market road which will be constructed at Ovenwatt, West Coast, Berbice. A farm-to-market road is a road that connects agricultural area to market towns. The road, which is valued at $327 million Guyana dollars, was dubbed as a realization of the government's promise of fostering development by the Minister of Agriculture.
We believe investment in infrastructures are required to make the agriculture sector viable and sustainable.
It was conveyed that Guyanese can expect to see the construction of additional farm-to-market roads during 2021.
We will be seeing almost 6 new farm-to-market roads across our country. In Region 5 here alone, you will have 3 of those roads that I'm talking about.
The minister relayed that an effective monitoring system will be implemented to ensure the road is built to standard.
I will have our engineers from the NDIA monitor this project closely, and I also want a committee formed also in this area, in this scheme, where the NDIA will be working with to monitor the progress of this road so that we can have value for our money.
With the construction of the road, it is expected that 30,000 acres of rice will be cultivated, while 60 cattle farmers with a total of 23,000 heads of cattle and about 1,000 heads of small ruminants will benefit directly. Reporting for the AGP Nightly News, Kendall Richmond.
In Jamaica, a man was arrested in Half-Breed for refusing to wear a mask. More in this report.
A 9-minute video being circulated on social media shows an officer attempting to arrest a man in Halfway Tree after he allegedly refused to wear a mask as he ventures in a public space. The police is seen wrestling with the man, insistent on not wearing a mask and resisting arrest.
If you don't put on the mask, man, I'll let you go. Hey, put on the mask, man. Put on the mask and make the man let you go, no brother.
Few minutes into the video, another policeman who was passing the area stopped to see what was happening. He eventually left, leaving the officer to effect the arrest on his own. The man was offered a mask, but still he refused to wear it.
The stubborn of his man, you know. Man a give have no mask, and man a give mask. I don't want none. Put on the mask, Rasta.
As he continued to refuse the police orders, passers-by gathered, most of whom were urging the man to put on the mask they gave him. Under the Disaster Risk Management Act, persons must wear a mask while in public spaces. Those who refuse to comply are in breach of the Act and can therefore be arrested. High Commissioner for the Universal Negro Improvement Association, Heruhai Shakamusa Menelik, says he is appalled by the police handling of the situation and that the rights of the Rastafarian were violated.
The preservation of life is the #1 thing for every human being, the preservation of life. And if I think wearing that mask will inflict carbon dioxide in my system to take my life away, then I should not be forced to wear it. It is a fundamental principle of physics.
Senior Superintendent of Police and Head of the Corporate Communications Unit in the Jamaica Constabulary Force, Stephanie Lindsay, confirmed the man was eventually arrested. Christine Forbes, CVM Live.
Coming up, Malaysia declares a state of emergency over COVID-19. We'll tell you more when we come back.
Imagine having the luxury of putting all your trust in one insurance company and being able to enjoy a life to the fullest without having to worry. Well, don't imagine. National Caribbean Insurance is here to take care of all your insurance needs. Insure your life, vehicle, boat, home, belongings, and your future. At NCI, we make it our business to ensure that you enjoy every stage in life. We serve, we protect, we satisfy. That's NCI.
Welcome back. Malaysia's king has declared a state of emergency at the request of the country's embattled Prime Minister. Muhyiddin Yassin says additional powers are needed to stop the surge in COVID-19 cases. The country is reporting almost 2,500 new infections every day, but critics say it is an attempt by an unstable government to cling to power. Al Jazeera's Florence Louis reports.
The emergency declaration comes just a day after the Prime Minister announced tighter restrictions for 5 states and the Federal Territories, including the capital Kuala Lumpur. A third wave of coronavirus infections has shown no signs of slowing down. The government says the healthcare system is near breaking point. In a televised speech on Tuesday, Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin sought to reassure the public.
Let me assure you that the civilian government will continue to function. The emergency proclaimed by the Yang di-Pertuan Agong is not a military coup, and curfew will not be enforced.
King Sultan Abdullah Sultan Ahmad Shah had in October rejected Muhyiddin's request to declare an emergency, deeming existing laws sufficient to curb the spread of the coronavirus. Since then, the number of cases has increased 5-fold. But not everyone views the emergency as a necessary tool for slowing the virus.
To declare an emergency at this period would perhaps not add additional sort of pandemic fighting value to it. So a lot of people are, number one, in disbelief over the declaration of the emergency, and number one, would look forward to learning more details as to how their civil rights would be further curtailed.
Parliament and state assembly sittings will not continue and all elections are suspended. Civil rights activists say they are concerned that the government will now avoid parliamentary scrutiny. The Prime Minister says the period of emergency will give the country much needed calm and stability. Muhyiddin Yassin has been facing a leadership challenge for months. He holds a very thin majority in Parliament. The largest party in his ruling coalition, the United Malays National Organisation, has threatened several times to withdraw support to force an early general election. A general election is not due till 2023. The Prime Minister has promised that polls will be held once it's deemed safe to do so. Florence Louis, Al Jazeera, Kuala Lumpur.
Hospitals in the United States are under immense strain, particularly in the state of California. At least 30,000 people there have now died from the virus. Health officials are pinning their hopes on a mass vaccination program. Al Jazeera's Rob Reynolds reports.
As California and other parts of the U.S. reel under the relentless onslaught of COVID-19, a new vaccination superstation opened in San Diego. The facility is meant to provide 5,000 vaccinations per day. On Monday, California recorded more than 30,000 deaths since the pandemic began, with the number of hospitalizations now increasing rapidly.
We are in the middle of a surge right now. There hasn't been a top yet.
More than 1,100 people in the state died over the weekend, a new 2-day record.
Attention, attention, code blue.
Hospitals in the region are trying to cope with a crushing number of patients and beginning to plan for rationing care.
I've seen more people pass away in the past week, in the past couple weeks really, than I almost like it combined in all of my career as a nurse.
Nationwide, the U.S. COVID death toll passed 375,000. And the more infectious UK coronavirus variant has been identified in at least 9 states.
The more cases that occur with this infection, just the more challenge it's going to be to our healthcare systems. And if we do see 20-30% increase in cases in many locations, that could be the difference between being able to provide care to everyone and not being able to provide care to everyone.
On Monday, President-elect Joe Biden got his second dose of the Pfizer vaccine. Biden said he would outline more of his pandemic response plan later this week. So far, fewer than 7 million vaccinations have been administered nationwide. There's a long way to go in vaccinating the bulk of the population.
If we get that overwhelming majority of people vaccinated, I think we could start approaching a reasonable degree of normality towards the mid-fall of 2021.
The Centers for Disease Control estimates that 65,000 more people in the U.S. will die from COVID-19 by the end of January. Rob Reynolds, Al Jazeera, Los Angeles.
Up next in sports, Red Force trial match watches out, and Gaza horse race takes place on destroyed airport runway. Stay with us.
Imagine having the luxury of putting all your trust in one insurance company and being able to enjoy a life to the fullest without having to worry. Well, don't imagine. National Caribbean Insurance is here to take care of all your insurance needs. Insure your life, vehicle, boat, home, belongings, and your future. At NCI, we make it our business to ensure that you enjoy every stage in life. We serve, we protect, we satisfy. That's NCI.
The coronavirus is bad. So there is one thing we can do. Wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. Wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. Wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. To keep away the flu, there is one thing we must do. Wash our hands, wash our hands, wash our hands.
First up in sports, a third consecutive Trinidad and Tobago Red Force trial match has been abandoned without a ball being bowled at the National Cricket Centre in Trinidad and Tobago. More in this TTT Sports report.
Monday's 50-over match was a non-starter due to the soggy outfield of the Balmain-Coover field. Last week, 2 trial matches were also washed out, with the national team forced to have indoor and outdoor sessions to compensate. The national team training squad was trimmed from 36 to 22 over the weekend. The Red Force final 15 will be selected this weekend, and the team is due to leave on January 26 for Antigua. The TNT Red Force is bidding to win its first regional Super 50 title since 2016. Meanwhile, head of the national selection panel, Rajendra Mangali, says He has a clear idea about the balance of the Trinidad and Tobago Red Force team for the regional Super 50 tournament. The 22-man training squad contains 11 players who have represented the West Indies at senior level. Mangali told TDD Sport about the composition of the travelling party.
Well, out of the 22, we have to break it down to 15. Normally, before at the West Indies level, it's supposed to be 14. But because of the COVID in Antigua or the bubble, they decided at 15. So with the 15, we have, I know the breakdown. If you look at the format of team, most likely they have to have, how I will do it, is like I will use 7 batters, 4 fast bowling, and 4 spinners to make up my 15 players.
As a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, the national selectors have to choose from some of the best players to represent the West Indies in limited overs cricket. Mangali stressed that getting the balance of youth and experience was paramount in fashioning a title-winning team.
Yes, we have some senior pros, which is, I think, as you say, is 11 of them, but we look at it, we're trying, important is that Trinidad and Tobago is trying to win a title. So after so long, 6 years, so I think putting this format with youth and seniors, I think we can do it.
One of Gaza's biggest sporting events has taken place on its destroyed airport runway. An annual horse race was staged at the airport, which was bombed by Israel in 2001. For many spectators, the race is a chance to escape the realities of Israeli occupation. Al Jazeera's Harry Fawcett reports.
For horse racing fans, this is Gaza's premier annual occasion. The runway of the territory's airport, bombed by Israel in 2001, 3 years after it opened, has become literally a wasteland. But this event in southern Rafah still draws a crowd from across the Gaza Strip.
We come here for some fun. Because of the siege, COVID-19 and all the other difficulties of life, this is an escape from all the bad things. I look forward to it every year.
With Gaza in the grip of a COVID-19 crisis, putting further strain on its overburdened health system and resulting in weekend shutdowns and nightly curfews, the organisers have found themselves defending the decision to press ahead.
The race lasts less than a minute and a half, and the airport is a big open area. We tried our best to avoid crowding, and this event should have taken place at the end of 2020. Now we're in 2021, so we had to do it.
After preliminary rounds, 6 entrants had qualified for the final, but in at least a nod towards health and safety concerns, only 3 were able to run. 4-year-old local favourite Motowakal, born in Rafah, sired by a racehorse imported from Israel, easily outran the competition, narrowly evaded the crowds for a clear victory. For the winning jockey, his moment of triumph, but with it a keen sense of awareness of everything that's missing.
The racetrack isn't up to standard. Sometimes the horses fall. As you see, there are no responsible organisers. Lots of people, lots of disorder, no prizes for the winner. We want to be able to travel abroad and take part in international races, but because of the siege, we can't.
Gaza has a long tradition of equestrianism. Riders here compare themselves favourably to their counterparts in the occupied West Bank. It's not uncommon for wealthy enthusiasts to import European horses worth tens of thousands of dollars. The contrast with Gaza's ruined economy, where more than 1 million live below the poverty line, is stark, and it's reflected every year in the images of the sport's biggest day. Harry Fawcett, Al Jazeera.
And that's it for sports. When we come back, we'll have another look at the stories that made the headlines.
To avoid getting the coronavirus, remember to wash your hands thoroughly and frequently before and after preparing food, after using the toilet or changing a diaper for a baby, sick person, or the elderly, after blowing your nose, and after leaving large gatherings or moving away from persons who appear ill. Encourage others to wash their hands and also use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer of 60 to 70% solution. Stay away from events having large gatherings of people. You can expose yourself to more possible infections in large groups. Also, avoid sharing cutlery, cups, glassware, etc. with others. Viruses can linger on these items and may be transferred this way. Avoid shaking and holding hands, and hugging or keeping an infected person in close proximity. This is a message from the Ministry of Health and the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA.
And we're wrapping up with a recap of the top stories. Police investigating double homicide in McKnight. Honorable Jonel Powell expresses sympathies over the death of 2 young men. and Development Bank upgrading tech in fight against COVID-19. And that's the end of the ZIZ Channel 5 newscast. Thank you for joining us. I'm Calvin Berridge. Bye.